Cydney and Adam, thank you for joining me today. I'm just going to ask you a couple of quick questions about your experience with mental load mastery. Adam, if you wouldn't mind starting, just what do you feel like you've gotten out of the program? How do you feel like you're a better partner than when you started?
My general awareness for recognizing um, when things come up that I haven't really thought through yet, that is much better than what it was before doing this program. So recognizing when there's mental load happening, um, and being able to take more initiative to tackle tasks around the house and deal with things, all the way from conception to actually doing the task.
And Cydney, what has your general experience been of him as you guys have gone through the program and like how you've seen him change over time?
Yeah, it's been really positive where we started this journey to where we are today. There's certainly a noticeable change in awareness and behavior, and we're able to, I think, have the tools to solve our problems and challenges more effectively and have positive, productive conversations about it.
If a couple months ago before he started, what was a big like point of contention that had that you were following me and probably sending him your videos? Like what was one of the big things that you really wanted him to get out of the program?
Uh, More of an understanding of unseen labor and emotional labor and what those two things mean and the toll and the amount of weight that they carry for the person responsible for them.
And do you feel like it's sort of delivered on at least like the head knowledge along with like some significant behavior change?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that there is from again the start of the journey, from the sending of the TikToks to now, definitely a change. And I think that change has been progressive, from the start of the program to the end of the program.
Awesome. I know one of the things I talk with a lot of folks about is having weekly reoccurring meetings. I call them boring meetings. Um, how do you feel like, I know that you guys haven't necessarily been perfect in implementing that. And I think even myself, like we still miss weeks here and there. I try to keep it to the lowest possible. In implementing that, what kind of change have the two of you experienced? Hey, Adam, go first on like what your experience of each other and how you communicate with each other has been.
Um, Even outside of having a particularly structured weekly meeting, I think we've had better conversations that tend to be, um, I would say I come into the conversations a lot more open-minded than I used to. Um, I I was certainly more of the type of person for this program that would be like, just make me a list and I'll do it. Just sort of focusing on getting tasks done. And now realizing that there's a lot more mental load to that, and that the planning is a big aspect of doing all this. I would say that our meetings that we have where we talk about our plans and our relationship and whatnot are just more constructive conversations now.
Mhm.
And Cydney, would you mirror that?
I think Adam's understanding of CPE, rather than just focusing on the execution, the E portion has like dramatically changed, and recognizing C and P are also part of the labor that goes into getting something done. And then also having that the same language about things like minimum standard of care have improved our ability to communicate when there is an issue or how we're going to achieve something or set a standard for this going forward. Because there, we would also have a lot of conversations of, well, we're only doing this because it's what I like, or or how I do it versus how you would do it if you were by yourself, for example. So we having that foundational language has really improved us how we communicate about it.
Gotcha. Would Now I know that one of the challenges I've had is I know that going to take a program with a guy that calls himself a recovering man child, little weird to talk about with your friends. Have you guys talked about this with, the people in your community, your family, or your friends?
Yeah, I have. I've spoken to a number of guys specifically about the program. Speak very highly about it, and I've actually found it um, pretty easy to talk about, like easier than I thought it would be to bring up to other guy friends. Um, and I think that's just because of just now I understand the topic a lot more and can speak about it with more confidence. Um, and I'm also like much more okay to speak about the weaknesses that I have, where before I was more defensive about the subject. So that allows me to speak about this program with ease.
Yeah. I would say on my end, when I hear about things like this, I certainly I have brought it up to a few girlfriends and have shown them your TikToks, and I think that's been a conversation starter for a couple of them. I know that it's hard to have that maybe first conversation. It really depends on the couple. But it's I know when my friends see it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the thing that I've been feeling, and I just couldn't put it into words." And so I think it's really helpful for them to see that content, and I freely share it with them when I hear that there's something that might be a mental load challenge. I don't know what their spouses think about that at the end of the day, but
Last question. I know for me, one of the really cool moments that I think occurs probably after week 5 is just being in a group of like 4 or 5 guys that are all discussing and using the jargon of like mental load, emotional labor, domestic labor, weaponized incompetence, just like hearing a room full of men leaned into this issue, talking about it, like gets me emotional. Have
Mhm.
you guys had moments in your program around it or after it where you've had like a wow, this is who I am, this is what I'm capable of thinking about?
I think we've had a few moments where um, actually I've done something and it's like clearly better than I would have done it 6 months ago, and then get a positive reaction out of Cydney.
Mhm.
And Yeah, that certainly has happened. Um, and I think it goes back to the last point, just about like our conversations in general are more productive, and I think a bit more um, like they're more sincere and less defensive in general. So um, yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Sydney, have you had any similar moments that have been like, wow, okay, this he gets it, or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Just small anecdote. We have these little lights in the closet 'cause the closet's quite deep and there's no electrical outlet, so they're battery operated. And I noticed Adam charged one the other day, which it sounds small, but I go into the closet, I'm like, oh, because I that was on my mental load task list of like, oh, I gotta like take the light down and go charge it, and to open it and see that it was done and without questions or like direction. I was pretty, oh, yeah, it was a noticeable thing.
I think there's a lot of moments where I think a lot of the guys that I work with like have those small wins that are almost imperceptible or like almost don't even feel like recognition. But I think that's like the insidious part of mental load is like being able to see those minute things that are that one extra task list, that one email to send, that one battery to check, that one thing. So I think that's like a good thermometer check almost of like a small moment that's really well representative of like the longer term change that's happening from all these thousand little things.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing this with the audience today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.
Thank you.